think of a powerful woman, like from history, any woman really got one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now what's the very first word that pops into your head when you think of her?
Hmm.
If it's something like, oh, I don't know, vindictive or maybe jealous.
Yeah.
Well, you're not alone. It's almost as if like history has this way of, I don't know, kind of twisting the story, especially when it comes to women and, powerful women. And I'm not sure we see that more clearly than with, well, the queen of the gods herself. We're talking Hera, folks.
Of course.
So today we're diving deep, 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 deep into ancient Greek mythology, trusty Hera.txt at our side, to uncover, well, the woman behind the myth. We're going way beyond the jealous wife trope.
Yeah.
The one. Time to really unpack Hera's story, all the layers, and discover, well, a figure way more nuanced, way more fascinating than I think most people give her credit for.
It's going to be good.
So Hera.txt lays it all out for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
The basics. Goddess of marriage, family, childbirth, kind of the whole archetype of womanhood in ancient Greece.
Right, and it's super important to remember that those roles, they weren't seen as limiting back then, not at all. Marriage, having kids, creating a family, this was central to their society, absolutely essential.
Totally.
Hera, she embodies all of it, but on a cosmic level, it's not just, oh, she's the wife, she's this primal force, right? She's nature.
A force of nature who, as our handy-dandy text points out, gives birth to some pretty memorable offspring, let's say. God of war and Hebe, goddess of youth, both born from, well, that union with Zeus.
Right.
But then, oh man, then things get really interesting with Hephaestus. So Hera.txt tells us that she gives birth to Hephaestus, god of the forge, all by herself.
Alone. Yep.
No Zeus necessary. But, and this is where I'm like, okay, now we're talking. She rejects him.
Yeah.
Because he's not exactly, shall we say, conventionally attractive. He's not really fitting in with all those, aesthetically blessed Olympians.
Right.
And this right here is what have had scholars scratching their heads for centuries.
Yeah.
Why reject him? Was it really just about how he looked?
Right. And this is where, it becomes so important to look beyond the surface, go deeper than just the literal story of the myth. You see, Hephaestus, he's more than just a god. He represents creation itself. He represents the ability to forge something new, something powerful, but from raw materials. Kind of like Hera herself. He embodies craftsmanship, skill. But also the imperfections that come with any creative act.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
So are we saying that Hera rejecting him was out of shame, like some interpretations say, or could there be more to it?
Well, that, my friend, is the million-dollar question.
Right.
Remember, this is the pantheon, dominated by, let's just say it, male gods.
Yeah.
So what if, and just hear me out here, what if Hera rejecting Hephaestus was a power move? A big one. She's asserting herself, this is my power, I can create, even without Zeus. Gives you a whole new perspective, doesn't it?
Okay, so we've established that Hera is, way more than just the wife, the mother figure, but Hera.txt, it doesn't shy away from this other, well, kind of dominant aspect of her story.
Right.
Her reactions to Zeus's, let's just say, wandering eye.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, Hera.txt does not hold back. There are a lot of reactions.
A lot of reactions.
A lot. So it'd be easy to, just chalk it all up to jealousy.
Yeah, you could.
But I think that kind of misses, the nuances, the cultural significance of these stories.
Oh, absolutely. Because remember, these myths, they weren't just entertainment, right? They were cautionary tales reflecting anxieties that were very, very real in ancient Greek society.
Because it wasn't just about infidelity, was it? Hera.txt highlights how Hera punishes Leto. Cursed to wander the earth while she's pregnant with Apollo and Artemis Zeus's twins.
Right.
Then there's Io, transformed into a cow just to hide her from Hera's wrath.
Wild.
And, oh man, who could forget Smele? Tricked by Hera into demanding to see Zeus in all his, full godly glory.
Oh, yeah. Not a good idea.
Talk about a bad breakup. But really, though, I mean, these stories, they weren't just about, divine soap operas, were they?
Not at all.
They were pointing to something much bigger, something much more real.
Exactly. They spoke to the very real dangers that women faced, especially if they, attracted the wrong kind of attention, especially from, let's be honest, those in power.
It's giving very much power dynamics at play.
Oh, 100%.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of which, we got to talk about the most famous object of Hera's, let's say, displeasure.
Right.
Hercules. Hera.txt really, like, goes in on this one. She delays his birth, sends snakes after him as a baby. She even, like, drives him temporarily insane.
Yeah.
That's a lot, even for Hera.
It's a lot.
So what makes Hercules so, like, special? Why him?
See, the Hercules saga, it's fascinating because it shows us a different side to Hera, a more like strategic side.
Okay.
Yeah, so on one hand, yeah, she's protecting her family, her position as, Zeus's wife.
Right.
But there's this whole other layer, a political dimension that I think people often like miss. Remember, Hercules existing, total threat to the line of succession for the throne of Tyrants.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about, like, Zeus being unfaithful. We're talking, like, actual power plays happening here.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking full on, like Game of Thrones, but with, more gods and monsters.
Way more.
Hera's actions, I mean, yeah, they were extreme.
Yeah.
But they were also about, like, order,
Mm-hmm.
Maintaining that established hierarchy.
Right.
Hera.txt even points out that some scholars think, she saw herself as like the champion of tradition, of legitimate rule.
Interesting.
It really complicates the narrative. You realize there's like always more to the story than you think. There's got to be something more there with these myths,
Right, right. Okay, so we've got Hera as the wife, the mother, the, like, guardian of order. But then Hera.txt takes us in this whole other direction with the Trojan War.
Right.
We're not on Team Zeus for this one.
Right.
Hera's all in for the Achaeans, the side that actually wins the whole thing, brings down Troy. And, well, the text mentions her little grudge against Paris, for choosing Aphrodite over her and that whole judgment of Paris thing.
Right.
But I gotta say, that seems, I don't know, kind of shallow for, like, Hera, a goddess of her stature.
Yeah, it's tempting to just see it as like a personal grudge match.
Yeah.
But the judgment of Paris, it goes way deeper than who gets the shiny apple.
Right.
Each goddess there, she represents something way bigger. So you've got Aphrodite offering beauty, love, very tempting, obviously.
Sure.
But Hera's offering Paris something else entirely. We're talking a powerful kingdom, lasting peace and prosperity, even like wisdom. This wasn't some beauty pageant.
Yeah.
This was about the very foundations of a just and stable society.
And by picking Aphrodite, Paris is basically rejecting, like, everything Hera stands for.
100%. He rejects order. He rejects, like, the sanctity of oaths, agreements. I mean, let's not forget, this is the dude who basically starts a war by running off with another man's wife.
Right, right.
So from Hera's point of view, backing the Achaeans, that's not just about evening the score. It's about righting a cosmic wrong. It's about upholding those very principles that she embodies.
So less jealous wife, more like cosmic judge, jury, and, well, maybe a little bit of executioner.
Maybe.
But, in a fair, balanced way, obviously.
Right. Of course.
But, speaking of balance, Hera.txt also talks about how Hera was worshipped, and it wasn't just like fear or obligation. People genuinely revered her.
Yeah.
Temples, festivals, even those athletic games, the Hera.
Right.
It's a very different picture from the, the always angry goddess we tend to imagine.
Oh, absolutely. Her worship wasn't just like a thing people did. It was deeply woven into the fabric of ancient Greek society.
Yeah.
And those Hera games, they're fascinating. Basically, these huge athletic competitions, all in Hera's honor.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker. Only women were allowed to compete.
Wait, seriously? Like, women only? In ancient Greece? That's actually kind of revolutionary when you think about it.
Right. Really makes you challenge those assumptions about, like, women's roles back then. And I think it speaks to how complex, how multifaceted Hera's power and influence really were.
Yeah.
She wasn't just a queen, a wife, a mother. She represented female strength, resilience, independence.
Wow. So where does that leave us? Well, it seems like we've uncovered a goddess who's way, way more complex, more interesting, frankly, than just the jealous wife trope.
Totally.
Hera.txt has given us a glimpse at a figure who represents not just, like, marriage, family, but creation, order, even this uniquely feminine form of power.
And that's what's so amazing about mythology, right?
Yeah.
It makes you think. It forces you to look past the surface, to really question what you think you know and find new layers of meaning in stories that have been told for, like, thousands of years.
I love that. Couldn't have said it better myself. So next time you come across Hera, whether it's in a book, a painting, or just like casual conversation, just remember, don't mistake her fury for weakness. Look closer. There's a queen there. A queen worthy of respect, maybe even a little admiration, right?
Right.
You might even find yourselves, well, a little inspired by the woman behind the myth. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.